I just want to give the overall perspective, so I'll take a bit longer than I desire. See, this is an interim budget presented just before the election, obviously. The four large things that I want to draw your attention to is GDP. You get the numbers, you see it, and so on. But I want to bring in this dimension, that governance, development, and performance. On all these three heads, I'd like to say what actually we have achieved, because that forms the backdrop. So, on governance, this budget speaks from a position where we have delivered on development, we better manage the economy with correct intentions, correct policies, and correct decisions. So it's a governance with care, conviction, and confidence. If that stood for the GDP's G, the D stands for people living better, earning better, and having high aspirations for the future. And if I move to the P, the performance, 3 consecutive years of 7% growth. Fastest growing economy in G20, all parts of the country participating in the growth. Price stability and inflation management. Handling the health and economic fallout of COVID. Build out of physical, digital, and social infrastructure. DPI as a factor of production almost for formalization and financial inclusion and growth of the economy. Cleaning up the banking system, GST, one nation, one market and one tax, the IBC. So if you were to look at governments, I've listed some of them. So your GDP, as we look at governance, development, and performance, I have something to say on each of these. So this budget, or vote on account, is getting presented with the GDP that we want to speak to you about, and in that the fiscal management actually is something which I would like you to spend some time even as you go through the budget, but I'll flag it here. Bringing down the fiscal deficit in spite of very challenging times, as per the announced consolidation path, and with transparency and prudence. So in fact, I was just remarking to my officers this morning, most of you all had already calculated the figures, RE revenue, RE expenditure, this is what it is, because every month you get the reports coming out. So you don't need to wait till the budget statement. Every month you get the accounts, and so budget process has become absolutely transparent and questionable. If there are any, you're there to question, we are here to answer. But we set in the process of keeping everything brought on budget and nothing kept aside from it or underneath it. So with that, the budget deficit, fiscal deficit, 5.8%, which is much lower than the 5.9, which was at the BE. Similarly, for the 24-25 budget, we've given 5.1 as the fiscal deficit, so clearly indicating that we are on track to meet the glide path which was set in 2021-22, and that we are well on track to meet the 4.5% fiscal deficit, on or below 4.5 even by FY26. If this is the background with which I'm talking and the presentation of the budget happened, I want to very clearly put some things under the heading, if you want to call it that, Disha Nirdeshak Baatein. You must have heard the Honorable Prime Minister speak before the Parliament session. well before the sessions commenced, his usual customary remarks. He said the budget will be presented tomorrow and you will have some Disha Nirdeshak baatein in it. So, what are those Disha Nirdeshak baatein? There are about 5 of them I highlight. Social justice as effective and necessary governance model. So it's not just a slogan for us, social justice, we'll have to work for Nyay. No. We've shown you that it is a governance model and a successful one at that. So social justice as an effective and governance, necessarily a governance model. Then 4 major caste groups, as we call it, as Prime Minister has emphasized: the poor, the women, the youth, and the Annadata. So, Disha Nirdeshak Baatein, you have the second point. Third, focus on infrastructure. This year, again, massive increases of capex happened in the last 4 years. This year, too, there is 11% increase, resulting in a very recallable number, 11,111 crores. So continuing the trend of the last 4 years, where capital expenditure has been the route, one for revival earlier from COVID, and now for sustained growth towards towards the Vikasit Bharat goal. Fourth is the using of technology as a huge opportunity. DPI as almost a new factor of production. So it is actually bringing in the value addition to the economy. It is facilitating every sector to bring in the value addition which is so required and improves on our productivity. And the last Disha Nirdeshak Baatein is high-powered committee for extensive consideration of challenges arising from population growth and demographic challenges. So if these are Disha Nirdeshak Baatein, what were the major announcements? I'll recall very quickly 12 of them. I'm not spending any time except for reading out what those 12 are. 2 crore more homes under the PM Awas Yojana. We already completed nearly the 3 crore. Housing for middle class. Rooftop solar for at least 300 units of power generation every month, which will be muft bijli for the households. There will be some assistance and some kind of a funding which will be extended. So you're generating renewable energy, providing the renewable energy generators the free they would want to use, and over and above that, the surplus that they produce can be used for selling and earning money out of it. Enhancement of target for Lakpati Didi from 2 crore women to 3 crore women. Preparing and empowering the MSMEs to grow and compete globally, aligning regulatory environment for them. The sixth is making sure that the eastern region, and when I say eastern region, I'm not talking about northeast. Northeast will get the attention that they've been getting all the while. They will still continue to get it, and they will be on the top of our priority. But when I say the eastern region, I'm talking about Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa, making sure that they will become the engines of growth for the new Amritkal India that we are trying to use as a bridge towards leading to Vikasit Bharat 2047. And Eastern India, I've missed out on West Bengal, please add it. Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, and West Bengal. Next generation reforms will be carried on, building consensus with states and stakeholders for reform, perform, transform. 3 major corridors, which are programs for railways, for logistics efficiency, and they have been explained. The important point that I want to highlight there is to make sure for Vikasit Bharat, You just don't need to build for better passenger convenience. You need to build for better passenger convenience. You need to give them safety. You need to shorten the traveling time for them. So one of the corridor is going to give emphasis for high density routes where passengers traffic is very high. We need to bring efficiencies and better safety in those areas. But for Vikasit Bharat, passengers need to move as they wish. But equally, materials, raw materials, building goods, cement, rare earths, minerals, we need them to move efficiently as well. So the corridor will take care of that as well. So the synergy between movement of people and movement of goods is what is being highlighted in the 3 corridors that we're talking about. Ninth announcement, that is urbanization, looking at Metro and Namo Bharat. One of the railway related things which I missed out on telling you, 40,000 bogies are going to be improved in the standards with which they can be effective rolling stock and also give the convenience in the passenger experience inside the bogies as well. So 40,000 coaches are going to be brought up to the level of Vande Bharat standards. Metro and Namo Bharat I did mention, so that urban transformation through transit-oriented development can happen. The 10th announcement which I draw your attention to is 1 lakh crore corpus for research and innovation by private sector. So that's coming in at the 10th. 11th is boost to tourism, including spiritual tourism. Interest-free loans will be given to states so that they can build on iconic tourist centers. And the 12th one is supporting reforms in state. They are separate from the development of tourism centers, and therefore I want you all to have the clarity that help to centers are supporting reforms in state is slightly different from boost to tourism. There will be a white paper on economic performance of the last 10 years compared with the previous 10 years. The 12th announcement is so much a statement that I would like to make, which is what I made in the budget speech as well. Government has got the trust and the confidence and the blessings of the people based on its exemplary track record of GDP, as I said, governance, development and performance, effective delivery, and also on Jan Kalyan. So highlighted points have been realized as goals of Vikasit Bharat till now, and they are the realizable goals also continuing to be so, because what we want to underline is we govern with good intentions, true dedication and hard work in the coming years, and that's why Amrit Kal is also now called Kartavya Kal. In short, that's the budget. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The Finance Minister has just now encapsulated the key highlights of the budget. We'll now open the floor. We can begin with the front row here. Please go ahead, 53. Please hand over the microphone here.
Hello, ma'am. This is Priyashmita from Informist Media. Ma'am, I wanted to know about the projections in your tax collections. So tax collections are seen currently growing at about 14.4%. Your April to December data shows. However, the projections in your budget are lower than that. So a back of the envelope calculation shows that you're going to get about 55,000 above your revised estimate if the collections continues. So your estimates are conservative, would you say that?
I'll certainly ask Somanathan to come in on that. Estimates are always realistic with us.
So let me clarify this. If you look at page 6 of the budget, you can look at it later. I'll just explain it to you. We are projecting that gross tax revenue. Now, this gross tax revenue in this sheet is net of refunds. So net of refunds, we are projecting that in this financial year, it will grow by 12.5% with reference to last year's actual. So from 30.54 lakh crores last year to 34.37 lakh crores this year is what is presented in our revised estimates. However, the sharing of taxes with the states is different for different taxes. Not all taxes are shareable in the same ratios. What has happened this year, if you look at the numbers, and they are given on page 6, union excise duties have actually shrunk. They have not increased. Most other taxes have grown at, as you say, 14%, etc. Union excise duties have grown -5%. That reduction is almost entirely on the account of the center. Because the same way that cesses are not shared, reduction in cesses is entirely borne by the center. So as a result, the state's share has increased by 16.5% in our revised estimates. Between the state share in the revised estimate and the state share last year, there's an increase of 16.5%. So taxes are growing 12.5% net of refunds. State share is growing 16.5% net, and therefore net to center is growing only 10.8% approximately. So there is no expected further padding or anything here. This is our realistic but slightly conservative estimate.
Okay, the next question, please. 65. Please go ahead.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm Kriti from Informist Media. So you mentioned that CAPEX, there has been a push towards CAPEX. However, the CAPEX jump for this year is 11%, right? Which is lowest in last 4 years. So are we moving towards a place of moderation in CAPEX? And secondly, while the budget, this is another unrelated question, while the budget clearly says that you are committed to your 4.5% target, you have also been recommended to bring down your debt to GDP ratio to 40% level, which still stands above 50%. So how are we looking towards moving towards that target? Thank you.
First of all, I'm on the second, your second bit was on the debt to GDP. What was your first one on? CAPEX. 11% growth in CAPEX. You've got used to about 30%, 23% from a low base. And today 11% on a high base appears low. Informist. 11 lakh crores going for capital expenditure. And you're seeing also that the private sector is coming in with their investments. So one has to have a clear understanding that when the government wants to spend through capital investment, it can be for one, triggering the economy so that private sector also comes in. At a time when private sector didn't come in, we still fully came in. Now we are seeing also signs of private sector also coming in. So it's only natural for two reasons, therefore, for you to look at. One, on what base are you saying 11% is less? Growth it is. And second, please do look up if private sector is coming in or not.